Hello, and welcome to Always with Awareness. I'm Awa Lodmel.
And I'm Douglas Lodmel. And today I want to talk about anger and resentment. Ooh. I know. We're getting serious.
That's painful.
I know. We went from friendship and clarity and responsibility, and now we're going to anger and resentment.
But at the same time, it's one that I guess every one of us know how it feels.
Well, yeah, every one of us knows how it feels. Everyone has been angry. Everyone has held resentment.
That's right.
And so it's real. And for some people, it's ever present almost. It's almost all the time.
Sadly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's anger? What is it?
You know, personally, I think there is only love or fear. And anger is when you fear so much, resent so much that you are angry and frustrated and you are not having a space to allow your fear. Let's go back like you were a kid. Mm-hmm. All right? You got screamed. You did something wrong and your parents scream at you. You get afraid. And you're feeling this fear. But you cannot express yourself because you are in this little body and they're big and tall and they're high up there and screaming at you and you're going like, oh my God, what can I do? So that repressed fear is anger to me. Mm-hmm. So now practice that along the time. How many times? Just because this one is a man and you're a woman, this one is 200 pounds and you are 45, this one is your boss and you are the maid. So look at all these things that can make people feel like they cannot express themselves freely. So when you cannot express yourself freely, what happened? You build resentment. And one day, that resentment gonna get out as a form of anger.
Yeah, that makes sense. So,
right?
Which is why all of us have it, because we were all children.
Because we were all
corrected. We all had parents and teachers and bigger bullies on the schoolyard that we had to deal with. And at some point, that fear just got pushed down. Mm-hmm. And it boils and curdles into this resentment and ultimately comes out as anger.
That's right.
Right.
As simple as that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's so funny because when I remember when I checked my anger, let's call it that way, right? Because, again, I was saying I'm from a family of 13 kids. My dad passed away at age 50, leaving my mom age 40 with 13 kids. From day one day to another, you have your mom become the doctor, the police, and so is all your other 5 brothers, by the way, right? There, you have an army now that are here to love you unconditionally and protect you. Right.
And correct you.
And correct parent you. And parent you. And educate you.
Yes.
You know, so it's coming out of love.
Yeah, of course.
Right? So most of the time, what we do, we justify that is out of love or out of educating. Right? Even if it's a boss screaming, he's thinking he allows to do that because he needs to get this information to your head. Right? Allows him to just have his voice higher. But if you cannot, there is something that happens at some point in your life where you understand that, this is somebody who also is as afraid as I am. And coming into a space that he or she doesn't control and is using power, fear, or whatever to take care of a situation. because we do it as parents. I believe having my kids had taught me how you don't know anything and yet you have to do something.
Yeah. You're like, I don't know what to do, but I have to do some action here.
Exactly. So, and when you go there with such energy that creates fear, because you're shifting your whole energy to want to stand for something. It's like if the child is about to get into a fire, you're going to scream and yell. He's going to have fear, thinking you're hating him at this moment. But you are just entering right now at this moment an uncontrolled space. Mm-hmm. That's all. So when I checked my anger and I realized, okay, the people that made me angry are people that I know damn well that they love me. So that's not a question,
right,
that it came out of love. So why do I feel anger? Oh, it's because the child in me has not felt yet that I'm not that child anymore. The child is still alive. Whoever made you angry, that child is still there. But it's for you now, the adult, to make that child of you and say, it's okay. Now I can express myself. And now I can understand that love can come in a way that looks like screaming or yelling or whatever that is.
Right.
And when I understood that, it was just a beautiful moment. Really, it was a beautiful moment. I could reconciliate within me my own, the child in me, but all my relationship with anybody that I ever fear, because that fear had led to anger. And
right.
So when I let the anger go, I could let the fear go.
So how old were you when that happened?
25.
Okay.
Yeah, around that time.
Okay. So pretty young in your life.
Yeah, pretty
your
young
first
in my life.
Adulthood.
Yeah.
And how did it come up for you? How did you know that this was something to work on?
Well, because I left home, I was 17, 18, right? So who left home was that child that was still fearful. I would not say angry, but fearful.
Right.
At that time, nothing was happening all the time. I wasn't abused, but yelled enough or screamed enough to have created some resentment and anger within yourself.
Sure.
to have resentment and fear. But when you're coming back at 25, you are not the same person, and your family is not the same people anymore, right? But the child is coming with you. And you're going like, well, what kind of relationship I'm going to have now? Why in the same place that I am, nothing is happening, but I feel like I cannot express myself, or I'm sweating when I shouldn't be, or I'm afraid that this conversation. And then I had to stop and say, wait a minute, this is not right, And that's when I did that work, and it was beautiful. And to understand, and like I said, having my own kids had helped so much. It's not that they want my family or friends or whoever it is for you, by the way, that want to hurt you. But sometimes we are called to enter terrains, spaces in our life that we don't control, and yet have to do something.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like I said, none of us come here with the book that say, here it goes. You can't always keep your cool. I experienced that each time my husband had to be the captain of the boat. I'm like, okay, let's drop the boat. I don't want you to be the captain anymore. Because anytime you have to make a real decision and make something, I felt fear, like, okay, everybody get out of the way, And you had to do it that way. Why? Because you were entering a terrain where you had to get control of everything and everybody. Right?
Yeah.
So, and it's the same. But what were you meaning there is that just love. You wanted to make sure everybody's okay.
Well, what's interesting about that example, when you say the captain of the boat, she meant literally the boat, right?
The boat,
like we bought
really.
this boat. And at first, when I was learning to captain it and drive it, it was a Chinese fire drill every time we got near the dock.
Exactly.
Because I didn't want anybody hurt, and people are trying to put their arms out and do it, and so I'm yelling and screaming, and so I did that for a few months, and then I got this boat captain to come and give me a lesson, and he said, well, let me see how you do it, and I showed him how I do it. He just laughed at me, and he goes, okay, this should be the calmest moment on the entire trip.
Yeah.
And he showed me how to dock with absolute calm, where everybody's just relaxed. And from that point on, I learned. So there was an interesting example you're giving, because the first way I'm doing it, when I'm actually out of my depth and didn't know how to do it, I was doing it and creating a bunch of fear.
That's right.
And maybe some anger or some resentment in my kids. And my wife and my guests.
That's right.
Because they're all like, whoa,
exactly.
like, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
As I matured and became more competent, it was the opposite, right?
That's right.
And so now as I fly the plane, we tell everybody when we're taking off and we're landing, I want you to be quiet, but it's a calm event. There's no fire drill
anymore.
Taking off or landing. It's always as calm as it can be.
That's right.
So that's a great example, right? Because that's the other side of it. That's the other side of
it. That's what I understood that happened to me.
Yeah.
And it might resonate with you, that some people have to stand for you sometimes to educate, to share, or to love, or to express something that requires them to enter a terrain that is uncontrollable. And in that moment, that's the only thing they know to do.
Right.
Is to raise their voice, or to whatever it is. And in that moment, and we're talking the child in you. For the child in you, it looks like fear. And not only it looks like fear, it looks like I cannot express myself in front of this person who is an adult or a power, which is your boss or whatever that is. And then from there come now the anger, which is the result of the resentment that you felt from not being able to express yourself.
Right.
And you practice that long enough, and you don't do your work, which your work is your work, by the way. Because the people who are doing it, they feel like they're justified, by the way. Why? Because they thought in that moment that's what you needed. But it's for us that feel the anger, that feel the resentment, to do our work. That's why it is the work of the person who is angry.
Yeah.
Right? It's the work of the person who is angry to go like, oh, okay, I am not that child anymore. Now I can express myself. Now I can say, I hear you. Now I can listen to somebody screaming without feeling like they're screaming at me. You know? So, and that's beautiful. But, and like I said, when that work hit me, it really was a big leap in my growth in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went through a similar thing.
Yeah.
I was about 30, I would say. And I was doing some work, some specific work. At the time, it was breath work, which is kind of a rebirthing, and you breathe really deeply for a long period of time, and then you're supported by somebody, and they kind of watch your body, and when you twitch and move, they say, what are you thinking, etc. So I was doing this work, and it brings up emotions. When you start consciously doing work on yourself, your emotions, your hidden, your locked emotions, and the person I was doing it with said, wow, I mean, you've got a lot of anger. And I was shocked, because I had never identified myself ever as being angry.
That's right.
I said, what do you mean? Like, I'm the least angry person I know. And she looked at me and she said, yeah, it's down there. I can see it. And it needs to come out.
Yeah.
And that was my first realization, is a friend, a support saying, hey, I see it, and it's there, and it's boiling.
Yeah.
And she actually gave me an exercise to do. She said, you know, what I was taught to do is you take a pillow and you just hit the bed. You know, so you're not going to hurt anybody because it's a pillow and it's a bed. You just take it and it'll feel silly, but believe me, if you do it right, it'll open you wide up.
Yeah.
Well, a pillow seemed like a wimpy thing to do. I had this beautiful sword hanging on my wall, like a full on, you know, a giant sword that I gotten from Spain. And I thought, I'll use the sword, but I'll hit the flat side on the bed, so I'll still be safe, right?
Oh my God.
So I started doing it, and I really did feel silly. I felt completely silly. And then I did it again, and I just like, okay, I kind of felt good. And I did it again. And then all of a sudden, it just unbottled. And unfortunately, I had to replace the giant sliding glass door. I had to replace some paintings. The TV survived barely, but I took that sword to my apartment. I really ripped it apart.
How did you feel?
I felt amazing. I did.
I bet.
I had never realized that I was ever even angry, much less like uncorked it.
Yes.
And I remember my brother coming over to my apartment after, and he looked at everything. He was just like, okay. and I said, well, I guess I had some anger issues.
Yeah.
And what's amazing is it's not like that cured it all, but what it did do for me is it brought it up so that it could then become much more conscious.
Yeah.
Because in my case, it was so buried deep. I repressed it so hard and took on the veneer or the act of, I'm not angry at all. I'm never angry. I am absolutely the coolest person. You can't make me angry. Well, you couldn't make me angry because I'd gotten so good at repressing it that you couldn't make me angry. I would just bottle it.
You were passive aggressive.
And that makes someone passive aggressive.
Yes.
So then, how I would get it out is in these passive, I'd be passive. Yeah, you can't make me angry. Yeah. And then in the background, I'd be aggressive, right? I'd do something to get back at somebody or to express my anger.
Yeah.
And that's not good. That's not a fun way to live. That's not a good way to be a friend or, passive aggressive people are people that are have a lot of repressed anger, but they can't get it out. So
that's right.
So it changed me, and then I could consciously kind of put it in front of me, turn it around, and look at it and start working on it more consciously.
That's right.
Now, when we got married, you are very good about expressing your anger in the moment that it's occurring, right then and there.
That's right.
And then it's over, it's out, it's done, right? There's a kind of a complete cycle to it. I had not seen that before.
That was a gift. That was a gift from my culture. Actually, it's almost like you are allowed to go there, but then you're done. It's almost timed.
Like, okay, get it out.
Okay, get it out. Like somebody did something wrong, you can cry, you can scream, you can yell, you can fight. It's all allowed. But then, are you done?
Yeah.
Now shake hands and move on.
Right.
And that itself was an amazing gift because it allows us to express ourselves in a way that I don't see people do here. If they do express themselves here like that, that means forever there is no more friendship or there is no more family. Well, even less.
Well, the reason why is that we're trained to not get it out like that. And so what happens is we bottle it.
Exactly.
So by the time it comes out like that, it's not in the moment anymore. It's bottled from months or years of resentment built up.
That's right.
And when it comes out, it's the kind of friendship ending type of or relationship ending type of expression.
That's right.
So I'll tell you, when we first got married and I saw that expression, I was confused.
Yeah.
Because for me, that expression only comes after lots of bottling, right? It just doesn't come after one small thing.
And it wasn't even a lot. I have to say, here in this part of the world, people are so sensitive and so bottled up with anger that somebody like me that is even expressing herself with hand gesture
and passion
and eyes opening, and it's almost like too intense.
It's not almost. It's too intense.
Sure, it is too intense.
No, it's too intense for most people.
Exactly. So for most people, you included in the beginning, it was just like, you angry? And I'm like, no, I'm not. But yeah, I have something to express, and I'm going to express it, but then I'm done.
Yeah.
So again, it's so funny how culture affects us. And for the 7 first years of your life, you are your environment.
Yeah.
And this 7 years old of expressing yourself and being okay to scream and yell. I mean, to the point where somebody slap you, beat you, they say, slap her back, like express yourself. He'll be like, oh my God, don't touch your brother. There, they like, beat your brother back. Yeah. Okay. You get it out, And I think all of that was, again, in every culture, there's something great to reproduce. Others do not reproduce. And I think that's a very good one that I will keep because it made me express myself, and I will never go to bed angry.
Yeah.
You know, and never bottle up things that make me not want to talk to somebody that I know care or love me for the rest of my life. I mean, but that's easy to see in this part of the world.
Well, and it's not something that if you're not raised in that, you can easily adopt. It's very, very hard to be able to express yourself that
I know.
passionately and that So even after all this time, I still don't do that. I still can't do that like you can do that.
Yeah.
But I also don't hold it. I'll express it, but I might stop. I might think about it for a day, and then I'll express it in a carefully worded, much rehearsed. In my mind way,
that's right.
Because that's the way I can do it.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between doing it within 24 hours, like kind of where I've gotten to, and saving it for years.
That's right.
Right. So and in yours is 24 seconds. There's, it's going to happen immediately, and it's going to be over. Yeah. For me, it's 24 hours or less. It might be 24 minutes, but usually 24 hours would be the max I can hang on to it before I just can't hold it anymore.
That's right.
But that's valuable. I think it's valuable to start getting it out, figuring out, one, that it's okay that you're angry.
Yeah.
You are angry. It's okay.
It's okay that you feel anything you feel.
Right.
And it's so funny we're talking about anger, but so is every other emotions that are there. I'm always surprised when somebody's giving me back my, what's the saying, give you back whatever you give them. There's a saying, I don't remember right now. But when my friends get back to me the same way I do them, the same way I talk to them, it's always a celebration.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, now I'm going to express myself, right. and it's to see them embodying it and say, wow, it feels good. Now I can express myself. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if it's anger. It doesn't matter if it's, I'm on African time and I come late, and instead of bottling it, they go like, okay, in my house, I want you to be on time, and I'm like, I still don't come on time. But it's beautiful to see that it's not something anymore that they used to hold on to, get themselves frustrated, have some resentment about the people, and ending up angry at them. And, next thing you know, the relationship is over.
Well, and it's good if you know that about, as you've learned, you have to actually break it down. You'll actually say to your friends, hey, you'll kind of prompt them to, or you'll give them the opening, a very nice, friendly opening to express something that you can see they want to express, but they would probably bottle, right? You say, hey, you can go ahead and be, you can yell at me. Oh, she's going to yell at me for coming late, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and then she's free to say, well, when are you ever going to come on time to my party? And you say, oh, your party starts when we get here. Don't you know that?
But it's to go back to it, I really invite every one of you who feel any kind of ways to a parent, a friend, to yourself even, to know that, first of all, what part of you is that angry? Who is angry? The child, the teenager, the adult. Most of the time is the child or the teenager. And it's something you're carrying, you keep on using over and over again. And you are so well practiced at getting angry that it became who you identify yourself as and who your loved ones see that you are. And it's not easy. Nobody wants to be with somebody who's so easy at getting angry. But the work is not for the others. The whole world is not going to be perfect for you to let go of your anger, whatever that anger is. Back to the most comments I have, a lot of people have anger issues with their parents, and most of the time with their mothers. And I'm saying the work is for the person who is angry. Why is happening? That fire will burn you before it burns anybody else. And if you think you can do life carrying that fire within you, ready to boil, and you think you can forget it, you won't. I see that people who are angry, it doesn't take long before that anger comes and meet them wherever they are. Do your work for you because you are worth it. You are very so worth it, and I know it. I know my life had changed the day I did my own work. Why? Because everybody that I was angry with, number one, was only me, myself, from, again, not expressing myself. Learn to express yourself. That will be your gift to this life we share. That will be your gift to the person you're angry with. And it doesn't matter. Make it your thing. Really do it. Make it your thing to sit the person and express yourself. Say, I want to drop this anger that I feel that makes me feel like an angry person every day. Whatever you did to me, and give them the space to express themselves. Because there's only two emotions. Really one. Love. Whatever they did out of love or fear or not controlling the space that they end up with. The responsibility that they end up with. They got afraid. They want to get out of it. They didn't know how to do it. They expressed themselves in a way that shocked you. They raised their voice. They beat you, whatever it is. But the angry part that you are feeling is your work, not theirs.
Yeah. And that's one of the biggest lessons that when I learned that someone making me angry was just showing me my work.
That's right.
So there's nobody out there that makes me angry. There's people who trigger my anger, and I can look at the trigger that they did. So being late, right? Being late to a meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? That used to make me very angry when someone didn't respect my time, right? And I thought that was about them. And then I realized, oh, that's about me. What is it about me? And then I did my own work. And that work, that doing your work, it's deceivingly simple to do. Just figure out whatever triggers you. Yeah. If you're triggered, that's your work right there. Find the belief that is triggering you. They should be on time. Okay. And then question it. Is it true?
Well, it's simple. They should be on time. Why? Well, with they should be on time comes because I'm special.
Right, because I'm special. Because I they should. It's all about me, right?
So like I said, we all special. Anyway, I'm not saying to be late on any appointment you have, but sometimes people are just not on time.
Yeah,
and it's okay.
Yeah,
depends what it is.
Well, and that's also gets into your own assessment of your own judgment and beating of yourself every time you're not on time, and so you live your life stressed and worried and like we gotta go, we're supposed to be there. And that's a stressful way to live, and it all cycles around. Whatever it is that you think that people are doing to you, you're really just doing it to yourself.
That's right.
All the time, 100% of the time. And if you don't like it, quit it. Stop it. Stop doing it to yourself. So
all right.
So, I think we expressed ourselves there.
That was about anger.
Yeah. So comments, questions, please. I know anger and resentment are huge. And some people are going to give us comments that say, well, I really have something to be angry about, and they're going to share that. That's okay. And it's not that you don't have something to be angry about. It's that what your choices are in dealing with that are yours.
That's
it's
right.
you that will solve that. You can never go back and change somebody else's actions from ever, right? Unless you have a time machine. I don't.
It's not going to happen.
Right? It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So whatever actions that happened, and if you want to hold on to that forever and feel justified because it was so bad, you're free to, but it's a very tough way to live.
That's
You're
right.
also free to find out what that anger is in you and let it go and release it.
Yeah. And the ones that really play with it, enjoy it, and think it's okay and it's cool to be angry anytime just because, well, keep on playing with it and you see where you end up. Like I said, that fire is going to burn you before it burns anybody else. That's how people unfortunately end up just doing something that they will regret for the rest of their lives, right? Out of anger. It is not something to play with. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So let's heal together.
Yeah, let's
Absolutely.
do it. So,
Yeah.
So thank you. Please subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Very important. Subscribe to the channel. It helps us a great deal. Like it, share it, and comment.
See you next time.
All right. See you next time.
And take care of your anger management.